What's going on, everybody? D-Style here, all the way from Texas. I'll be joined by TBH Tool 6, and of course, Bruce Goss in the building. He's about to fire one up, and I'm about to drink one up. All right. First of all, shout out to everybody, man. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. If you're listening on the everybody, man. If you're listening on the replay or anything. Again, if you're listening on the everybody, man. Oh, I love my voice, but not that much. But hit that like button, all right? And if you're listening on the replay, and let's go ahead and get this one started, all right? Because I'm a hard-working man. That I am. Okay, that I am. First of all, I just want to start just really quick. The fight of the weekend. Lara, he gets his W. Can San Martin, not much to talk about, stops him, third round, right? The dude takes a knee, he drops him, ref steps in and says, that's it, and you've had enough, right? After the fight, Lara's been interviewed, and he says, they asked him, what do you want next? He said, I want Warrington next. I want to retire Josh Warrington, he said. That's what he wants to do. He's already beat him once, 9th round stoppage. Second fight, and it's so early. It was an accidental head clash. It's a technical draw. I don't know. Is Warrington going to fight this dude again, Bruce Goss? Is he going to get in the ring with Mauricio Lara?
I think so. These styles, these lighter fighters that they don't need the financing that the glory weight fighters do, and I think if the fans want it, I think we'll see it, bro. I mean, it can be made. They're in the same promotional circles. So, yeah, why not, bro? Why not?
All right. Well, what about you, TB? Do you think Warrington's going to step back in the ring with him? I mean, why Warrington's fighting in December? Why didn't he fight Lara?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. But I would say this. I think a trilogy fight should happen, and it will happen. Of course, not this year. But I think it should make some money. It should make some money. It should do some ticket sales, if you will, or whatever, what have you. And why not? I think they should, settle the this little trilogy and or this little thing and get it going, and should make some money.
Now, granted, for anybody wondering where you are, you're overlooking Warrington's next opponent. No, you never overlook any fighter, right? But assuming Warrington wins, of course, I think that's a fight to make. I think Warrington should go to Mexico, to be honest with you. Like, it's time for him to leave the UK, leave Leeds. All right, it's time to do what Lara's done twice. Go to his backyard, go to his neighborhood. Okay, go see him over there. I think that's what he should do. But we all know while Lara has the balls of steel to do it, I don't think Warrington is going to do it, right? I think he's going to try to keep that home field advantage, to his credit, because he has a big fan base over there. He's going to try to keep it in the UK, try to have every advantage possible for the time change, to the, the judges and all that good stuff. So I get it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I set this on my real short post-fight recap. Warrington can fight Lara at anything, and Lara would win. We already know Lara would beat him at boxing. Okay, they could fight anywhere. They could fight in Leeds. They could fight in Guadalajara, Mexico. Okay, they could fight in El Paso, Texas. They could fight in my backyard. They could fight in Bruce Goss's living room. Okay, they could fight anywhere. Okay, they could go to a gym where TBH trains, and they could fight there. All right, they could duke it out in Calix's pool. Right, Lara and Warrington, they could fight there if they want. Right, they could fight in the moon. Okay, they could fight anywhere. These dudes could fight absolutely anywhere. Right, and they could do it any style. They could do boxing, they could do MMA, knife fight. Okay, snap a pool stick in half, leave it in the room, close the door. You know who's coming out? Mauricio Lara. Bronco is the one walking out of that room, all right? Every single time. Who could smoke more joints? Lara's going to win every single time. Game of chess, Lara. Checkers, Lara. Poker, Lara. He'll beat him at anything. Right? Calix. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing fine on this Monday evening, gentlemen.
Salute, Cap.
When we're talking about Lara, his performance, there's not much to talk about, but if you want to recap anything you saw from his fight, but most importantly, he said he wants to retire his son from boxing. You know what I mean? I don't want my son boxing no more. I'm going to retire his ass. That's what he said.
I love Lara, but as you've been saying on your channel for a while, you got to get him that fight. You got to get him that fight to see if he is the terror that we're seeing with our eyes, correct?
So Warrington's not that guy.
That eye test. And 126 is a division full of good fighters. I don't know where the great fighter is, if there is a great fighter there, but there are plenty of good fighters there that are on that cusp of possibly being great if they string together some good wins. So Lara's possibly that guy. He's must-see TV. But here's the thing, D-Style. I don't know if the fights are going to come to him. So what they need to do is keep him busy. Get him a date. Get him a date in January, February, every 3 months. If he's mowing guys down, just continue to keep him busy and mow guys down until he's mandated to fight somebody. Somebody's forced into fighting him. Something. Keep him busy because guys are not going to be knocking on the door to fight Lara. This isn't like a Tank Davis situation at 135 where everybody wants to fight Tank Davis. It's not that situation. Nobody wants to fight Lara, so stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. So the fight that I would love to see, it's a dream matchup at 126 would be Lara versus Figueroa, but Figueroa is with the PBC, so that's just not going to happen. So he'll be lucky to even fight anytime soon, to be honest. So keep Lara busy. I don't care who it's against. Pick number 50 at BoxRec. Just get him a date in January. Get him a date.
Get him a date. Pick a fight and pick the date. Shout out to Nando Llama. Saludos to the panel in the chat. Look at that. Bruce Gas, fire, smoke, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about right there. But here's the thing, okay? Calix, Lara went to Leeds, and if there's no other way to put it other than he beat the shit out of Warrington, stopped him in the ninth. In the rematch, Warrington got really lucky, and he got a technical draw because of the headbutt. Well, they got the same promoter, but I have a feeling like Eddie's going to try to get as many fights out of Warrington before he puts it back in there with Lara. But
and also the Lee Wood situation, right? That was
yes.
and look, I love Lee Wood. Like 2 straight knockout victories, arguably the knockout of the year, arguably the fight of the year. But the injury thing seemed a little bit, Wood fight. I don't know, man. I think Lara would beat Wood pretty good. So once again, this could be trust fund Eddie protecting some of his guys. He doesn't want to sacrifice them at the expense of Lara. That's possibly what we've got going on here. But like I said, if you're going to do that, which I hate, keep him busy at least. Keep him busy.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, he wants to retire. That's some strong language. He wants to retire him. But we will see if that fight even happens. I just don't know. I have a feeling Eddie's going to try to see if somebody could beat Lara, and then he'll put that person in the ring with Warrington. Styles make fights. That's probably the route he's going to try, but we will see. Eddie has been good about loaning his fighters to promotional companies. If it's not one of his, because Lara, I just don't get the sense he's one of Eddie's guys. Like, I feel like Lara was a guy Eddie signed so he could fight Warrington, and then he just didn't expect the dude to beat up Warrington, which is like an unexpected thing, but we will see. Anyway, that is that. I want to see a third fight next year, hopefully. Although don't overlook Warrington's next opponent. That could be a spoiler as well. And Warrington's been looking vulnerable, so we will see. But moving on. Shout out to Boxing Vitals, Chauncey Pearls, Chicano Prophet, Nando Llamas, Stephen 47. How's it going? Karma Serene, Andrew Charles, Jesus M. All of you. Shout out to you. Did you guys see Tank's tweet? And then he's telling people like, why would Allerby get mad? I'm not even signing them anymore.
I have my thoughts on all that stuff, but if y'all, I don't want to hog the mic, but I have my thoughts on that stuff. Everything we've seen the past 2 days.
Well, I mean, just whatever you want to say. You guys could go shoot.
All right. So yesterday we saw Tank doing what Tank does, right? Like Tank and Floyd just had the weirdest situation to where it's just like it's almost like two high school, a girl and a guy in a relationship, to where one of them will just get tired of the other one and they'll go to Facebook. The other one will go to Facebook, and they might take their Facebook relationships down and put them to single, stuff like that. And they go through the media, social media for this stuff. And he does that, I think, when he's getting frustrated with the situation. But so he put out those tweets last night. I may have to go somewhere else, stuff like that. He may be using his leverage in the media. I don't know what he's doing, but he's done this often. And then we see Chris Mannix's report today, right? Chris Mannix saying, and Chris Mannix works for the Zone. Keep that in mind. Somebody fed him this story, and I don't think the timing is by accident, saying that the only thing holding this up is network beef. But here's the thing.
Yeah, that was a Cappinger source.
Right. Was that Cappinger or Mannix? I think that was
I saw Benson tweeted out, and he used Cappinger as a source.
Okay,
and then Cappinger used his source as a source.
Okay, but I think Chris Mannix reported that tonight. So anyway, whoever reported it, I don't think it's by accident. And there shouldn't be any network beef with this, right? You have a high intelligent chat. Who is Ryan Garcia contractually obligated to right now?
Golden Boy.
Golden Boy and the Zone by extension. Who is Tank Davis contractually obligated to right now?
Well, I assume the answer would be Mayweather Promotions and Showtime, but according to him, he's not signed with them, so I don't know.
The answer is nobody. He's not contractually obligated to nobody, so there shouldn't be network beef here. There shouldn't be network beef. He can go anywhere he wants. He's a free agent. He doesn't have to work with anybody. He has leverage. He has complete leverage. He can go anywhere to make deals right now. Anywhere. He can go anywhere he wants. I was told for years, almost 5 years, that Bud has to go across the street at 147, right? Now that Tank is a free agent, now that the top lightweights are at Top Rank, the guy he wants to fight is that Golden Boy. I'm not being told by the same people that Tank needs to cross the street. Why is that? Why is that? Tank can go work with anyone he wants right now. He can get a much better deal with Top Rank than Devin Haney got. He can go get those fights, and he can go sign a 2-fight deal. I'm sure with Golden Boy and the Zone by extension to fight Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia 1, Ryan Garcia rematch. He can do whatever he wants. He's got everything. He's got all the leverage. But what I'm saying is network beef shouldn't be holding up this fight. And if that is what's holding up this fight, then we got to lay it at the feet of Tank Davis, because Tank Davis can go anywhere he wants. He doesn't have to be at Showtime right now. Nothing's keeping him fighting on Showtime. Showtime's about to be out the door anyway. What are we doing?
Bruce Goss, what's running through your mind, Bruce Goss?
This is the crazy world of 21st century boxing. Tank and Ryan, they've been jawing at it now for the better part of a year. Tank's a free agent. He's not tied to anybody. Why isn't the fight made? This is a fight we've been anticipating. Everybody's got different sides on it. I mean, this is about the biggest fight at 135 or 140, 137, whatever they're going to make it at. But it's not happening because the politics of boxing. And I know we're going to talk about Crawford in a little bit, but I see the same fucking thing with him, man. He crossed the street. He couldn't get the fight made, but he threw his hands up and said, "Fuck, I'm going to fight." And I think that's what all boxers should do, because I just don't think any of them they don't have the balls to stand up in front of their promoters. They're signed to these contracts. They're getting their guaranteed money, and they're just pawns in this game. And it's a game of fucking suits and numbers. And personally, I don't think the boxers, because they're jawing back and forth. I mean, they're grabbing chains and clubs. How much fucking more personal can you get than that? But the fights aren't being made because Floyd said so in one case. He said it a month ago, and now it happened this weekend, and everybody's like, whoa. I mean, it's like fucking nobody called this one. Nobody said Avedizian is going to fight Bud. I mean, we got all these masterminds on YouTube. Everybody knows what's happening behind the scenes, but nobody called this one, man. Nobody. So I mean, it's fucking boxing as usual. That's the way I see it, man. Just make the fights, because all this backstage stuff, it fucking gives me headaches, man.
TBH loves the backstage stuff, right? I cannot hear you, TBH. You're not muted, so I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My bad. Look. No, I despise the backstage shit that goes on. Just because of the fact that we can't simply get what we want. In any other sport, somehow, some way, we get what we want. The best play the best in basketball. The best play the best in football. The best fight the best in mixed martial arts and every other combat sport. The best play the best in the World Series, right? But in boxing, there's always some stupid shit that goes on behind the scenes, and there's childlike behavior, obviously, really going back to one individual promotional company. All right. And the fact that we don't get what we want, it is what it is. You understand? Now, as far as these these guys getting fights done and these smaller weight classes, I guess they want the smoke more than the bigger guys and whatnot. That might be true, but this Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, I'm about done with the shit. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was predicting it wasn't going to happen for the simple fact of the shit that the PBC's been doing. I don't understand how Terrence Crawford, if you want to say Terrence Crawford has any kind of blame, I will give you 15 to 20% of the blame, and that's pushing it. Really, all the blame has been on the other side. They keep moving the goalposts. They keep setting guidelines and standards for them to have. You lowball the man, even though you came out and said that you were going in the week of Canelo's fight with Bivol. You came out and said that you offer this man $30 to $20 to $40 million. You can't even offer Terrence Crawford $12 million. Not saying that Crawford's on the same level in terms of net worth or money making as Canelo, but goddamn, I mean, you trying to make the best fight possible and save a network and save your promotional company. You're playing games with the fans. With that being said, everybody can do whatever they want with their money. That's fine. But for this situation, I'm going to just say this. Boycott they stupid ass. All right. Do not buy their pay-per-views. Well, they're pretty much out the window. I mean, Showtime, from what I was reading, that shit's about to be gone. So is HBO Max. So is a lot of this other shit. Paramount's about to get rid of all that dumbass shit. So boycott their ass. And I, look, if you don't want to support the Crawford fight, don't support that shit. Hit these motherfuckers in their pocket and make these guys get in the ring and stop being entitled bitches. All right, and make them do what they're supposed to do, or give up the fucking belts. If you don't want to fight each other, fight these young guys like Boots and Virgil Ortiz, man. If you can't do that, get rid of the belts and get the fuck out of boxing, man.
Brian, you know what they do? And I've been speaking on this for a long time. The powers that be in boxing brainwash people into thinking that these fights are tougher to make than they are. You know how long I listened to Evan Asian's manager give an interview earlier on the podcast. You know how long it took him to make the fight with Crawford? Less than 48 hours. Less than 48 hours. He said
that's including the paperwork. That means that talking probably lasted like 2-3 hours.
He said they got the call on Thursday. They were shocked that they got the call, and it was done by Saturday. The whole thing was done. It was all done. And he said
let's get them.
They were shocked to get the call. And look at the reason I bring it up is we've had a welterweight division in a stalemate. We have a welterweight division where 70% of the top 10 are undefeated. None of these guys are fighting. And now until Crawford signed this fight, none of them had anything scheduled. None of them. The whole division was just nothing scheduled. So we were able to get number 2 and number 8 to fight each other within 48 hours of negotiating a deal. And they got it done. They brainwash people into thinking that all of these obstacles, just think about it. For years, we heard that the PBC, that Spence couldn't fight Crawford because Crawford was over at Top Rank. And by the way, Arrow told you the whole plan from the beginning. They told you they weren't going to fight Bud now until we get all the belts, and then we'll fight for Undisputed. When Crawford last year was a promotional free agent, what'd they do? The first thing they did was sign Spence versus Ugas. And I was told at the time it was so we can get the belts and we can make this for Undisputed and make it even bigger. Okay, now they're telling me like
we're gonna talk a lot about Crawford and Spence in a little bit, so let's hold our thoughts on that. Yo, by the way, shout out to Haplo. Let's get him on here. What's up, Haplo?
What's up, guys? What's up, fellas?
Hey, so I know you're not on Twitter, but Tank Davis tweeted out he needs to move on. He's not even signed with Mayweather Promotions. We're getting word that they agreed to everything, but they just haven't agreed to the platform where they're going to fight. What do you think's going on? Are these guys going to fight? Is Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis going to fight?
I mean, based on past events, I would say no.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I just feel like both of them are being babied by their promoters, and they want to preserve their value and not put them in tough fights. And I think that's evidenced by the kind of fights they've been taking. And put them in there together would be great for us fans, but I guess they see it as like, losing possible money if one of them were to lose. But at some point, you got to take a fighter like a Ryan Garcia or a Tank who has huge potential and throw them in there with somebody. Because if not, they're just going to have shitty careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, make sure you hit the like button. Those listening right now. Okay, let's get those likes up. Let's get to 30 ASAP, by the way. ASAP. Jab that like button. Look, let me say this before we get to the Spence Crawford thing. I am getting Ryan Garcia tweets out, boxing's boring. Nobody wants to fight. Well, you're part of the problem, dude. What do you mean? Like, you're one of the people that ain't fighting the fights. You're one of the people saying, belts don't matter. Well, the belts don't matter. That means the hierarchy doesn't matter. Therefore, you're taking yourself out of that equation to fight the top fighters. All right? And nobody wants to fight. Jojo Diaz wanted to fight you. You wouldn't fight him. I mean, like, what the hell's going on here? There is people that want to fight you. All right? And look, I don't know what's going on. I feel like Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis are playing a game of chicken. They have every intention to move out of the way and not collide. They just they're waiting for the other guy to move out of the way first and then blame him for the fight not happening. That's what they do nowadays. Okay. And then they gas up the boxing fans. Gas them up for what? What does everybody get all gassed up for? We have people, and this goes for the other fight we're going to talk about. They cuss each other out on the internet. Okay, call themselves every name in the book. They talk about each other's mothers. They threaten each other's life. If I see you, it's on sight. And because my guy, wants to fight, your guy isn't, and you won't admit it. Okay, like this is crazy. We have friendship, long time friendships breaking apart because of fighters that aren't even gonna fight.
Bro, I hear a lot of rumors around town here in LA about Ryan throwing a lot of parties almost every night up at his crib. I guess he lives up in the hills somewhere. I just don't think
he's partying with them, Apple?
No, I haven't been. I've been invited, but I have not gone. But I just don't think he's living a fighter's lifestyle.
I know people like, bro, it was you. You were right there. You were taking shots with Ryan the other night.
I wasn't actually, but I know people who were though.
Wow. All Are these good people?
So.
But what I mean by that, are these people, are they good influences or bad influences?
Probably bad. We're talking about like people who party a lot, go out all the time, and he's constantly throwing parties, dude. I know that for a fact.
Yep. Boxing is boring. Calix, boxing is boring. It's boring. Nobody wants to fight.
I agree with Ryan, but Ryan's part of the problem. And you know what else? Devin Haney did the things that Ryan Garcia said he was going to do and didn't do. And that's why Devin Haney has all the belts.
And then he changed the goalposts and said, "Oh, that stuff doesn't matter."
Right.
Right.
And then they're going to do this fight at 136 catch weight. And it goes back to what I keep saying about the Tank Davis theorem. And you can throw the Ryan Garcia theorem out there too, is they don't care about the belts and they're not going to campaign in a single weight class because they want to be a constant moving target. They don't want to be a stationary target. They don't want to campaign in a single weight class and try to consolidate belts like a Devin Haney because that's too difficult. It's too difficult. They want to stay in the bubble wrap. They want to stay in the witness protection programs. And the 136 catch weight is perfect. Like I knew it would be something weak like this. A 136 catch weight. That way the winner of the fight wins the fight. They can't be called out by the guys at 140 because they'll say, "Oh, no, we're not real 140 pounders." No, what happened after the Mario Barrios fight? Regis Prograis was the first one on Twitter saying, "Come on, little fella. Come on, little fella." They're like, "No, he's not a real one."
Regis, by the way, who's not.
No.
By the way, Regis
down to 135, and now I'm not a real 135.
Regis ain't that much bigger than Tank either, by the way.
Yeah, but what are you? What are you?
Like Regis isn't exactly Goliath next to Tank, okay?
Exactly.
Right, so it's a makeable fight. Like you could argue Barrios is a bigger physical dude. He's bigger physically than Regis Prograis, but he's not willing to fight Regis. It has nothing to do with size. This is about danger. This is about a threat, right? Like that's what this is about. And these fighters don't want to face risk and threats. And if they do, they want to be extremely. All of a sudden, they start talking about their life. They start talking about their health. They start talking about their faculties. They start talking about everything and how they need to be compensated to take these risks because they put their life on the line. They don't give a shit about the dudes that they're 10-1 favorites against. They don't care about their health, okay? Like because they're health advocates about the sport of boxing only when it's just a slight danger. Putting them in there with a 5-1 underdog is too much of a risk for them. That's like, oh, there's a 5-1. There's a 1-5 chance he could beat me. Nah, I can't do that. My health, my life, my faculties, my brain cells. You fans don't understand what we go through and start crying at press conferences and shit. Okay, I'm just saying. All right, but look.
But this is what it is. It's they don't want to be a stationary target. The Tank Davis and now Ryan Garcia theorem is Tank can fight at 140 and then he wins. 140 pounders call him out. No, I'm down at 135. 135 pounders call him out. No, I'm moving up to 140. There's somewhere in between. And look at what Ryan Garcia has been doing. Ryan Garcia has been fighting 135 pounders at 140 pounds. That way he can be a chameleon too. I'm not a 140 pounder because I'm fighting 135 pounders, but I'm not a 135 pounder because I'm fighting at 140. And now I'm going to fight at a 136 catch weight.
Yeah, they'll make it convenient. I just want to finish the point I was going to make about Ryan. And you all remember this. Remember when George Kambosos pulled off the upset against Teofimo Lopez? Everyone, including Ryan Garcia, I want to fight Kambosos next. Let's do this for all the belts. And then all of a sudden, Devin Haney beats Kambosos. But nobody really cares about the belts, right? I mean, who cares about these belts, really? I mean, does anybody really care about them? Yes, Ryan. How about the answer is yes. Are you going to get in the ring with Devin Haney? Because you keep saying nobody wants to fight, everything's boring. But why don't you excite us and start negotiating with Devin Haney? How about you do that? Okay. And one more point that Calix made about negotiating fights. Look, there was an old saying back then. Don King and Bob Arum hated each other, but their love for money made them work together. You know what I mean? They loved money. So like everyone talks about boxing as a business, and I'm hearing people say things like, And look, I'm not even saying they're wrong about this, but I keep seeing people say, "Oh, like Luther Bella, like the fans need to realize that they have no say. They're going to do whatever they want." Well, isn't that the problem? Isn't it a problem when a business doesn't give a fuck about its
That's why
consumers?
there's so few boxing fans because of that.
Exactly. Any business that doesn't respect its customers loses customers, doesn't get return customers. You don't keep people happy, they don't stick around. They'll go to an inferior product like MMA. Isn't that right, TBH?
You already know that you know that's some bullshit.
But you know what? To speak up for TBH and defend him by what you just said. Saturday, I was at home, no boxing on. I'm watching college football. My brother and some guys from the neighborhood come over, and they're UFC fans, so I ordered the pay-per-view for them so they could watch it while I'm watching college football. But as we're watching, I'm asking them, how much did Peter Yan make for this fight? How much did Islam make for this fight?
They didn't know.
Guess what they did? They stared at me in disbelief that I'm even asking them this. They don't know and they don't care. And that's the thing. They're not bothered by things that they don't have
And they
to be
shouldn't
bothered
care.
by, that they shouldn't be bothered by. As Haplo said, they shouldn't be bothered by it. They shouldn't care. We shouldn't care what these fighters are making. It's not our problem. It's their problem. It's their job to do. Our job is to show up, buy the apps, watch the fights, and we do that. But we have to worry about these other things, and we have to hold the powers to be's feet to the fire because they're not doing their jobs, and they're brainwashing people into thinking that these fights are harder to make than they actually are.
Haplo's right though, and they shouldn't. We shouldn't care what these fighters are making.
All we should care about is the fight going to be made? Are we going to get to see it? We're fans. Well, we're not getting any of the money, so why do we care?
Well, Blue Blood's getting some of that money. I'll tell you that right now. Apparently, he's involved in the. I don't know what. Maybe you guys know more than me. I've been working a lot this week, so I don't know the extent. But apparently, Blue Blood Boxing. He's involved in the promotion for the Terrence Crawford fight with Avanesyan. I don't even know if I pronounced the dude's name right, so I apologize if I didn't. But
and you know what?
Crazy.
I hope he's successful, and I hope that this platform is successful because if they can make within 48 hours a top 10 welterweight matchup,
yeah, Blue Blood is
I hope
one
that
guy.
they can expand that.
Like, there's people out here talking about the money all day long that have nothing to do with it. So, I mean, he's the exception, not the rule.
Well, you know what? Look, it's like this. I mean, I think the previous decade for that matter, with the previous generation has led to the generation that we see now. And you see more influx of certain fans that are, how should I say, they care about this stupid shit in boxing that nobody really gives a shit about. I mean, I honestly don't care about another man's pocketbooks. I honestly don't care about all this negotiations and,
they're falling for the art of ducking, Brian. And you believe like we can't make the fight because of this, that, and the other thing. No, they can make the fight. Just like with Pacquiao and Mayweather. As soon as they really wanted to make the fight, they made the fight.
No, that's exactly the point. They did what they did to eat up all the money they could. Then they got paid and made the fight. Go ahead.
But see, I'm still not sold that this Crawford Avanesyan fight is actually going to go down 100% like it is, because I've seen many of these promotional companies. I mean, who is BLK? I never heard of him. I'm googling them and I'm getting vague information. I'm not seeing any promoters in there. I'm not seeing any affiliation with boxers, bro. I mean, I've seen this happen. I saw it happen with George Foreman and Larry Holmes. First press conference, the fucking check bounced. George walked. We saw this happen with Triller. I mean, bro, this is a fucking crazy business world. $10 million. This fight's not going to make fucking money, bro. I mean, dude, who's going to pay-per-view this fight? And it's in Omaha. I mean, is Omaha a destination flight for a vacation? Come on, man. I mean, this. Well, it looks good on YouTube, but
it could just be a bargaining tactic, Bruce. They could be saying that just to try to get more money out of the other fight.
I'll believe it when the ring walk happens, man. I'll believe it when when I got this stream coming in on my fucking freestream.com station over here, man. You know.
So here's the thing with that. I'm with you. I people keep telling me there's no way he's getting 10 million, and I'm right there with you. It's hard to believe. Also, I get Triller vibes as well. My instincts tell me the fight will go off because the egg on Crawford's face, if it doesn't, will be pretty bad. I think that the fight will go off some way, somehow. But to your point about Omaha, it's going to sell there. Like Omaha, when Crawford fights in Omaha, it's packed. It sells out. The live gate will be good. The live gate will do well for this fight. They're going to sell this fight in Omaha. He knows how to sell out that building, just like Arrow knows how to do numbers in Dallas. So that part of it's going to be fine. The live gate, actually selling people to come to the fight, that's going to be fine. But it is the pay-per-view side. It is the how can they possibly pay him that? I'm right there with everybody on that.
Bud's never sold 100,000 pay-per-views in his life.
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. I don't know. The problem with the pay-per-view numbers is nobody knows the real pay-per-view.
True. And I think it's going to be passe within a year or two anyway, because the streaming is just so easy and so good right now. So I think pay-per-view it's going to be a thing of the past. I come from Rhode Island, where Raytheon is right down the street, bro. They invented the black boxes during the freaking during the Iranian conflict, man, conflict with Iraq, bro. I mean, we know how to decipher things, so it's just so prominent now. And now with streaming services, pay-per-view is it's not even going to be a thing of the past. But my thing is this new company, BLK, are they going to go in there and lose this $10 million? Dude, I can't see this fight happening as we're seeing it on paper now. Like you say, maybe it'll happen in Omaha because Bud's got the huge fan base, his hometown, and yeah, they'll do a great live gate there. But making this fucking purse that they're talking about, I just think they're overestimating it. Where's this dough going to come from? And like I'll believe it when I see the fight go down and move on to the next fight too, because he said it's a keep busy fight. Isn't that the words that I've been hearing around lately? And then they take a year off.
It's quite a stay busy fight because Evan Edge is not easy. He's not easy. And I know D-Styles probably got something set up to talk about, so I won't get deep into it. But if they start messing around with Stanionis, Boots, Virgil, good luck. Good luck. Just telling you, good luck.
Hey, by the way, really quick, so you guys mentioned Omaha.
But instead, the ball was moved.
Omaha! Shout out to Peter Manning. But with that said, look, man. I don't understand. Like, we have two fighters playing a game of chicken. And I don't know about Crawford, but I just don't feel like Spence ever had an intention to colliding with Crawford. I just don't. It's not the sense I get. And if there's any Spence fan out there listening, I would love for you to jump on. I mean, look, I get it. Like, you might have something to say. Maybe there's a perspective I don't get. Or maybe you're in a bubble. And I think that's what's happening with Spence fans. They're in a bubble. They're speaking to people in a bubble. They're listening to a narrative. And if you literally listen to Spence tell Crawford, I'm going to clean up my side of the street first, and then I'm going to get to you, right? After he told Crawford, well, I'll get a belt first, and that's what he did. I mean, that is prolonging the fight. I mean, that's literally what you're doing. Imagine Trinidad telling De La Hoya, first get a belt, and then De La Hoya gets a belt. Gets Whitaker, right? And then he changes the rules and he says, well, I'm going to collect all the other belts first, and then I'll come after you. That wouldn't make sense. And that would, because everybody knew Trinidad De La Hoya was the fucking fight to make. All right. Crawford Spence is the fight to make, and it's not even as big as that fight. All right. Crawford Spence is not as big as De La Hoya Trinidad. It's not. Right?
No.
I know. I lived in that time. I lived in those days. I live in this day. I know. All right? And it's okay. I'm not even dogging the fight for that. But these guys are acting like it's the biggest fight in the world.
And remember, D-Style, that was also Don King and Bob Arum sleeping together in the same bed to make that fight.
And they don't like each other, or they didn't.
Yeah, but they were smart enough to know that if they worked together, one side took care of his side, one side took care of the other. That limits the risk. It limits the risk. And that's the frustrating part about this is I've been telling the fans for years, they're brainwashing you. They're lying to you, telling you that these cross-promotion fights can't happen when actually they're easier to make because there's less risk on each side. So what are we hearing now? We're hearing now, if Bud was with Top Rank, then Bob could have covered Bud's side, and Al could have covered Errol's side. Duh! That's what we've been telling you for 5 years. And you've been telling us for 5 years that he needs to cross the street. And for
that's what
5
he's
years,
been
you've
doing.
been hearing
Like
Errol tell you we'll playbook. Errol's been telling you, I'm going to get this belt, this belt, this belt, and then we'll get to you. And then Bud becomes a promotional free agent. And then they say, wait, let's fight Ugas. And we're sitting here like, wait, the fight, they're literally, he literally is crossing the street now. Now
they want Thurman.
Fight. Okay, so now we're doing that. And then Floyd, while they're breaking these nonsense stories, these journalists, Floyd is literally on a podcast on October 7th saying, don't listen to those people. This fight is not happening. It's not happening right now. Floyd is literally telling you that. And then the guys will come on and literally tell you that you're not hearing what you're hearing from the sources. It's amazing. And then they'll have Steven Espinoza come on their podcast and lie to them when Steven Espinoza is just going to parrot what Al is telling him to go out there and parrot. It's frustrating.
Here's the issue.
Let me wrap it up. The good thing about this is the white pill I've been white pilled the past couple of days. The good thing about this is nobody outside of PBC Twitter and LDBC world are buying this. They're not. You see it, like you see the narratives, the PBC narratives falling apart. They're falling apart. People aren't buying them anymore. When you see all of the PBC fighters lined up and being held up at the runway because they can't fit any of these fighters into the PBC budget, Jermel's going to have to wait till January. Benavidez has to wait till January. Tank's going to have to wait. Errol's going to have to wait because they don't have the money in the budget. You see what's happening. They don't have the money to make these fights. Wake up. Wake up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, when we hear these talking points, because that's what they are, they're talking points. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, that Errol Spence indirectly kind of gave to his fans, because it's not like he directed them to it, but he said it, therefore they followed it, right? When he looked at Bud, and Bud was like, yo, when we're going to fight, he looked at him in the eyes and said it. And when he says, oh, well, at first he told him get a belt. He did it. And then he told him gather all the belts. I'm going to get all the belts on my side of the street, right? And then I'll come for you last, is what he said. When he says things like that, to us, that's a bad symptom of ducking. But to Spence fans, that's the feature. Okay? To them, that's totally makes sense. Because he said it, it's okay. Right? Well, that's what he said, and that's what he's doing. So
yeah, well, if you say you're gonna duck and then duck, does that make it any better?
I guess it does. Because it's not the symptom, Haplo, it's the feature to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it makes sense to them because since he said it, they're gonna make it make sense. Like the dude stood in front of you and said, when are we gonna fight? What generation of fighter says anything other than, man, I'll fuck you up when we get in that ring? Are you crazy? What type of a champion doesn't say that? And then
the Spence type.
He gets all the belts. Oh, well, it's Crawford's fault. He's with Top Rank. He leaves Top Rank. No longer associated with Top Rank. And we still can't get the fucking fight done. And then they're mad because Bud wants transparency in the promotion. So he knows that his cut is accurate. And people act like that's too much to ask. My question is, what the fuck does PBC have to hide?
Well, here's a greater question though, right? Here's a question to piggyback off what you're saying. So, as boxing fans that supposedly care about the fighters, so not to get into the business side of things, but let's just use common sense. If you were in his shoes and you had a job and you were sitting up here, you were promised, okay, I'm gonna get this amount of money if I complete this task or complete this on this particular day, right? Or through my job, right? So on the said day, I get a bonus. I'm promised a bonus and don't get it. Then how can you get mad at him for asking the same thing? Because if you're getting back end money, all right, or under the table type money, while your partner, which is Errol Spence, is obviously getting it, then how are you going to get mad at him for questioning? Well, look, let me see the numbers. You understand? Like, you're already being lowball 35 to 65 or some shit. So I guess these guys don't care about this man getting his money. It's not even so much about getting his money, just having a fair balance of the situation, man. That's all it is, man. And I don't understand why. I don't understand where the mindset of these guys are coming from. To me, this shit is fucking weird. It's very weird and it's very disturbing. It doesn't make fucking sense, man. I mean, you see all these other athletes, they look through all their contracts before they sign the shit, right? At least most of them with the brain does, right? So why can't Crawford do the same shit? I don't know. This is I'm telling you, it's some strange, weird, eerie shit going on with these guys in their brains. I've never seen this shit before in my life.
Bruce Goss, what you think, brother?
I agree with the historian up there, man. I'm seeing fanboys. That's what I'm seeing, man. Like I've never seen in my life. People who have no clue about boxing. They have no idea what's going on in any division except the division that their particular hero is in. And it's crazy. It's cult-like following. I don't get it, man. I'm hearing these fucking things that have nothing to do with the game. I want to see the two guys get in the ring and fight. Obstacles, man, they're insurmountable by some of these standards. And half of these people, I don't think they even care about the fight being made. They just care about riding with their boy, just fucking talking him up and saying, Bud ducked, Bud ran, he's a coward, he broke this whole thing up. And I don't see so many fanatical fans on the Crawford side, but I'm seeing a lot of them on the Spence side, and all I can do is laugh at it, guys, because otherwise it would drive me nuts. But it's boxing, it's what it is today, and it's like the direction boxing is going. I try to support boxing by talking about it out there when I get in public, getting my friends excited about current fighters, about past fighters, about boxing in general. But this bullshit on YouTube, man, it's just personal. It's all these fucking crazy digs. It's tribal. It's fucking Jim Jones like, man. And all I can do is laugh at it and say, I'm so glad I don't take this shit serious. I'm a fan of fucking boxing. I'm not a fan of any boxer, and especially not to that point where I'm going to stop pointing fingers and saying these crazy fucking things. And if I'm seen over here, I'm going to get blackballed over here. And it's a crazy world, this fucking YouTube boxing, bro.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If Crawford is asking for open books on things that have nothing to do with his fight with Spence, okay, fine. I'll be the first one. Okay, Crawford, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? I want to see open books on Jermel's fights, and I want to know what the fuck's going on with Wilder, and I want to know okay, calm down, right? But when it comes to his fight with Spence, why should he be kept in the dark?
And if it was a co-promotional fight and Adams was asking for the same fucking privileges, we wouldn't hear a lot of shit in the in the boxing world about that. That's just the way business is run.
Yeah, and he's not a PBC fighter, so he's kind of like his own kind of entity. So of course, you go into business with anybody, you want transparency.
Mhm.
That's going to take their word for it. Oh man, we didn't make any money. Like no, you want some transparency.
But it's just amazing to me to see people not be able to connect dots. It was obvious they weren't going to make this fight in November in hindsight, right? Every single PBC fighter not named Morrell Jr. is now held up at the runway, right, until January. Why January? Obviously, they don't have money for November and December, right? I mean, why else would you not have a fourth quarter schedule? And by the way, they just put Morrell Jr. like the Morrell Jr. fight has been on the schedule at badlefthook.com, Dan Rayfield's website, for weeks now. They finally put it up on this PBC schedule over the weekend, finally. But the fight wasn't going to happen in November, obviously. And Bud, seeing that, is saying, I want to fight in December. And nobody is saying that this fight isn't happening in February, March, April, right?
Maybe, yeah.
So the fight wasn't going to happen in November. It just wasn't.
Look, man, you don't think. Let me tell you guys something right now. When Jermell Charlo agreed to fight Tim Tszyu, a fight that got made right away, real quick, by the way. And then they were obviously told, well, we're going to have to wait till January. It probably sucked for both of them. But you don't think Tim Tszyu's team is getting full transparency? Oh, believe me, they're getting full transparency.
Of course they are.
Like they're not going to just take Al's word for it, like at PBC's word for it. No Limit, which is the other promotional company representing Tim Tszyu. I'm pretty certain now. Now, look, if somebody asks me, how do you know this for a fact, style? No, I don't. Just, because I'm you see how I'm transparent? I don't, but I'm pretty certain. I would bet a lot of money that they got some transparency. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure they want to know everything. And I'll take it a step further.
I can't believe people will argue against me, though.
Caleb Plant was demanding for shit from Canelo. He wanted to know how much Canelo was making in his Hennessy deal. He wanted to know how much Canelo was making in his sponsorships and all that shit. You know what, Canelo? They just fucking told me, this is how much I'm making, motherfucker. Are we going to fight or what? Okay? Are we going to fucking fight or he just dated? He didn't give a fuck. All right? That was PBC playing hardball with Canelo with Plant. Who the fuck is Plant? And the dude gave him $10 million. We're going to fight a wild motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? And then he got mad because he got called a motherfucker. That's a different story. But, like, that's what you call transparency. And here's the other thing, all right? Let's say Crawford never moved up. Let's say he stuck around in 140, which I kind of wish you would have done, because then we would have seen him against Prograis, him against Josh Taylor, him against all these guys right now. But, and by the way, Crawford, 12 stoppages in his last 13 fights. It's amazing. Okay, but if Jeff Horn approached, I want everybody close your eyes for a moment. Let me stop paint this picture for you. Crawford never moved up. Jeff Horn, he's the guy that beat Pacquiao. He's backstage at a fight, and he approaches Errol Spence and he says, "When are we going to fight, mate? Are we going to do this or what?" Does Spence tell him, "Oh, well, I gotta, clear my side of the street first and do that. And then at the very end, I'll worry about you at the very end now. Okay? That's what I'm going to do for you." Do you think does he do that with Horn? They make that Horn fight so fast. And if Horn and his promoter ask for transparency, they'll fucking give him the books. Right? They'll give him everything, full transparency. That shit will be more transparent, okay, than a male, like a freaking female strip club. Okay, it'll be so transparent. Yeah.
Now, real quick, and I hate to bring this up again, but it came up with.
Should be more transparent than a fucking stripper's thong and shit. Okay, that shit will be so transparent. But go ahead.
No. How transparent was the PBC when we broke the story that Eric Morales tested positive for a drug test? How transparent?
Well, that was actually Golden Boy, in fairness, but I hear you.
Oh, that was Golden Boy. My bad. Okay, Danny Garcia, Golden Boy. Well, how transparent were they?
But Al Heyman was working with Golden Boy at the time.
Yes. How transparent were they? They weren't.
Well,
They knew
the
about
commission didn't even know,
drug
so
test
not
for weeks.
very.
And what I'm saying is, you'd be crazy not to ask for transparency. And we've talked to fighters about this, right? Like, I mean, I've talked to fighters about this the past couple of weeks. You'd be crazy not to ask for transparency.
If Spence didn't want to fight Crawford, he should have just said, "I don't want to fight you right now." He should have told him, "You're the most dangerous opponent, so I want to wait till the very end to fight you." Spence won't say that. He never said that, and his fans don't want to admit that.
They want the Thurman fight.
Look, you know what this is a classic case of, and I'm just gonna be as raw as I can be verbally about this situation. I mean, we live in a generation of pussies. We live in a generation of bitches. All right. And I'm not speaking of females, by the way. I'm speaking of men. All right.
Karma was about to come in here and beat your ass, if we're talking that shit.
Who?
Karma.
Oh, whatever about her. She can get mad all she wants, but regardless, though, I mean, look, it's like this. We live in this generation, and it seeps down into every aspect that we see, and we love boxing, right? Well, guess what? Where these fans like stupid shit. These fans, they love to be treated like hoes. That's just what it is. And they like hoe ass shit. They like bitch shit. And that's why this fight hasn't happened. And that's the reason why they're blaming Crawford, because he doesn't want to be in the same hoe bitch mentality that they're in. I'm just going to be blunt with it, because only a man, a real man, will want transparency with anything he does with his money. Money is the answer to all things. So the point being, even if he was, you want to use this term, you want to say this, well, Terrence Crawford, it wasn't respectful, it wasn't how should I say, professional, right? Okay, you can have that. Well, what professionalism has PBC, Errol Spence, Steven Espinoza, Tom Brown, or whatever, Tim Brown, or
not Jim Brown? Shout out to him, Hall of Fame running back. Yeah.
Oh no, Jim Brown's a legend. Tim Brown, I don't, just heard of him, just 5 months ago, never knew who he was. I shouldn't even know who he is. Oh yeah, and Mr. Al Heyman, all right, the mastermind behind all this. What professionalism have they brought to the table for the past 5 years? None whatsoever, and they have not shown no transparency whatsoever. So, I guess guys that are of that mindset, and you can blame both sides, but it's like, if you're sitting up here and alleviating any blame or any lack of professionalism on their part, then there's something wrong with your brain. I'm just got to call it what it is, man. And you want to be a hoe. Terrence Crawford don't want to be a hoe, and you hate him for not wanting to be a hoe. So it is what it is. It's just me. That's what I got to say.
That's right, man. Everybody's asking that, which Brown? He already started something. They don't even know what Brown you're talking about now, TBH. I just said, if PBC been ducking from day one, they could have sent Ugas or Spence over to Crawford's belt. Like, here's the other thing, right? I keep hearing, well, why didn't Crawford? Like, let me give you an example. I remember I was saying, why didn't Plant fight one of the other champions while Canelo was unifying? We could have got into Undisputed a lot faster. Kind of like Jose Ramirez and Josh Hader did. They both had 2 belts each, and then they fought for Undisputed, right? You don't think Crawford wanted to fight Porter, but Porter had the WBC belt? You don't think Crawford would have taken a fight with Ugas?
Crawford wanted to fight Danny Garcia in 2019, and what happened?
He wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao,
and then they fought Errol Spence the next year, coming off the car wreck. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and not only that, you don't think he would have? You don't think Crawford would have fought WBA champion Manny Pacquiao? He wanted to fight before Aaron. Now, granted, this was Top Rank's fault, but they would have put Pacquiao in the ring with Crawford. You know what I mean?
That was Aaron. Yeah.
But when they were with PBC, for everybody's he would have done it. Now, granted, I'm not dumb, guys. I understand that Aram's going to look out for his shit. I'm not Aram. I'm sorry. Al Heyman's going to look out for his shit first, right? His fighters first. I get it. I get all that. But you can't blame Crawford for it, is what I'm saying. Crawford can't force these dudes in the ring with him. You just can't do it. This isn't UFC where they just make all the fights. No, he can't force these guys to fight him. He can't drag them to the ring and like, fight me. No, he can't do that. So when people say, Errol Spence did all the heavy lifting. Well, because he was in a position to, but Crawford would have beaten all those. He would have beaten Danny Garcia, bro. Danny Garcia, I mean, look, the steak I ate before this show had a better shot against me than Danny Garcia would against Crawford, right? I'm just saying. That steak put up a better fight.
Yep.
But shoot the shit, guys. Shoot.
But no, Bud Crawford was the inconvenience in that division. PBC had a great thing going at 147. You know, they can pull all the strings, put whoever they wanted in at that time, and then Bud comes
especially
in.
Especially when Pacquiao went over there.
Yep, when Bud came in the division, it blew everything up. He was the inconvenience that they had to dance around. They had to dance around. They had to dance around. And once again, we were told, once Bud crosses the street, as we've been told for years, as they're demeaning Bud, we've all seen the names. No one's been meaner to Bud than the other side, right? We've all been, I don't want to repeat the names I've heard. Top Rank Toby, stuff like that. They tear him down for years, and then tell him all you have to do is cross the street, and that fight is signed like that, no matter what, like that. Al's going to get that done. And what happened?
But why didn't like Tim Tszyu have to cross the street? And he got his fight with Jermell.
And once again, like, why doesn't Tank have to cross the street?
Why didn't Tyson Fury have to cross the street?
Yeah, he didn't have to cross the street to fight, Wilder. You know why? And I'm going to give Wilder credit here. Because Wilder wanted to fight. That's why.
Yep.
When they want to fight, the fights get made, period. When you start hearing like, oh, well, they're negotiating this, they're negotiating that. That's all duck talk. It's the art of ducking.
The art of ducking. It's like the art of war, you know what I mean? Deception.
The art of ducking is duck and make it look like it's the other guy.
Look, the only duck you should be having is ducking and covering from fire. And look.
And how long was Bud supposed to stay at the table? How long? A year? 2 years?
Oh, he needed a fight. He needs to. I mean, people may not like to stay busy, but I mean, at least he's taking on a guy coming off, 5 or 6 good wins.
And he's in the top 10 too. And we gotta look at it from this standpoint too. For guys that are still optimistic about this.
Bruce Gas is smoking, and then like somehow TBH is coughing.
No, bro. I mean, bro, $10 million offered to him for this fight, for a guaranteed win, bro. You guys may say it's not a guaranteed win, but I'm going to say it's a guaranteed win. $10 million, and then he's still got the chip to negotiate with Errol Spence. I mean, this should have been condensed into 6 months. 6 months. They're dragging it out year and year and year, and it's ridiculous. Like I said earlier, I don't know where all this money's coming from. I just don't know how these fighters are being content with.
I am a little. There's one thing I'm disappointed with Crawford about, and I get your point, Bruce. $10 million is a lot of dollars, and look. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. If I was in Crawford's shoes and offered me $10 million, but I would take that money. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna like act like I wouldn't. But from a fan's perspective, and that's what I am. I'm a fan. Dude, you got Virgil Ortiz right there, and Virgil's number 1 with one of your belts, bro. You know what I mean? Like he's right there, and then you got Boots right now. By the way, he has submitted a request by the IBF to get his fucking shot. Because Boots, what is Boots supposed to wait? Like till Crawford and Spence decide to fight?
That's
Like,
what,
you know
that's
what I mean?
what
Like,
I'm
guys
saying.
gotta make money.
He fought
I
two
don't-
rounds in a year, bro. He's a thoroughbred. He's head and shoulders above the pack in the welterweight division, but he's not doing anything. So what the fuck? We're all supposed to say, "Oh, Boots is the man. Boots is the man. He's gonna fight. He's gonna fight Errol Spence right away, bro. He should be fighting. He should be kicking ass. He should have had 3 fights this year. And the same thing goes for freaking for fucking Ortiz.
Virgil?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that Virgil, you may want to tout him and all that, and he is a good fighter, but he did fucking drop out of a fight because he couldn't make weight.
Well, hey. Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I get it. You know what I mean? But he got mad at people for calling, like, for saying that, and he said he's good, and he said he was sick.
No, he got fucked up, bro. That was from cutting weight too fast at the end, and he got some kind of sepsis. Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm gonna give him, because it was only the first time, you know, that's happened. But and he made weight in his last fight, so I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
They did it smarter around the second time because they knew they couldn't get away with that shit anymore.
Hey, but look, Boots, he's number one.
Boots and Virgil are both like busting out the seams at 147, bro.
Now, here's the thing. And I get your point, Bruce, but like, what has Sturman done? And it looks like he's going to get the fight.
That's a
Boxing,
fight.
No,
They want to give him another payday. That's what it is. They want Spence to get a nice payday with Thurman before they sacrifice him.
Well, here's another thing. You know, and people are shitting on the David Evanesian fight, right? But David Evanesian has been very active and is a top 10 opponent, and I think he deserves to be a top 10 opponent. Question would be, Keith Thurman has fought twice in like 3 or 4 years or whatever, right? And you technically you should be dropped out of the rankings. And the last guy he beat, who was a subpar guy, never fought at that weight class before, and I mean C- at best, D+ at his worst. And I'm being generous about that. And that guy wasn't even ranked at 147. Somehow, some way, this man is elevated to number 1 status in the WBA. How the fuck does that work? That doesn't even fucking make sense.
Because they buy the rankings so that he can fight Spence.
So you know what, David Evanesian and Keith Thurman, I don't care what guys say. Oh well, we see he's a this that man. Look, they both on the same level to me. So if they fight, if Spence doesn't fight Stanionis, he doesn't fight Boots, and he goes to fight Keith Thurman, it's the equivalent of him fighting David Evanesian, because why? They're in the same fucking rankings, and you know what? At this point,
Thurman's shot, bro.
Thurman ain't the same motherfucker, bro. He ain't the same fighter that he once was. So
Thurman doesn't have a good welterweight win in almost 6 years. So, but here's the thing with Virgil.
He beat a young.
Does he even have
Mario
6 fights in the last 6 years? I
No,
don't think so.
he doesn't. But here's the thing with Virgil. Like Boots just petitioned, Stanionis just petitioned. They both just petitioned for Spence. Virgil hasn't petitioned yet to fight Crawford, and on top of that, Crawford was offered this deal that went to Evanesian, apparently. And look, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna be one of those people. Oh, it's a duck. It's not a duck. It's a last minute deal, but he hasn't petitioned to fight Crawford and to try to force that, right? So that's what I'm saying there. And here's the thing, though, D-Style. It's like, this is frustrating. Me and Bruce are a lot alike. It's frustrating for us weeks like this when we're talking about stuff like this instead. When Errol Spence beat Ugas, who was the most complimentary on the panel about Errol Spence? It was me, right, D-Style? Remember when you brought Carcino in and Carcino was acting like Ugas took a dive, and then you had the other guy on saying that Errol Spence looked shot. And I'm like, how are you saying this? It doesn't make any sense. Errol Spence looked great in the Ugas fight. I thought that was one of his best performances. And I thought that was a performance that you build and you go into the big fight.
If I agree with
and
that.
Heplo might disagree with me, but all I'm saying is I thought Errol Spence looked great. I've been a fan of Errol Spence throughout his career, and that's well documented. It's just frustrating to see this. It's frustrating to see, and for people not to see it. Like, how could you not see this? It's right there for you. They don't want him to fight Bud, at least not now. And hopefully that changes first quarter 2023. I think it has a lot to do with money, but there's a reason that fight hasn't happened yet. They should be on a trilogy. The trilogy should be done already. It should be done.
I just feel like if Crawford was going to fight someone other than Spence, it should have been Ortiz, in my opinion. The dude's number one under your belt. Like, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, it's like this, right? The only way they're gonna fight Boots at this, Crawford at this point, they're gonna wait one more year and be like, okay, no, wait a second, let's wait. He just turned 35. Let's wait a whole another year from the turn 36. He's gonna be a little slower than what he is. He's not gonna have the same reflexes. You know, that's what the fuck they've been waiting for the whole time.
He is slower. He's quite slower, and this is the problem that boxing fans have, and this is what we talked about in the past as well. Is boxing fans think these dudes' primes are long. They're not. Maybe 2 or 3 years. And Crawford is well past his prime. Spence is past his prime. This fight is the expiration date is well past where it should have been. All right, so I don't know, man. It's still an undisputed fight as of right now. I hope they get it done. I have my doubts. I'm just frustrated with this, man. Like, I just want to talk about the fights. We have some good fights this weekend. Zapata, Jojo Diaz, that's a great fight. We'll talk about all that, but that's what we should be talking about. We should have fights every weekend. Dude, the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters are going to fight a combined 10 times this year. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You should have title fights every single weekend. In 1997, the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters fought a combined 28 times. 28. Oscar De La Hoya fought 5 times that year as Ring Magazine's pound-for-pound champion. 5. Him alone fought half the fights that these guys this year, the top 10, will have fought this whole year. It's sad. It's a sad state we're in, and people are acting like
we're doing an aftermath show, and we're talking about fights that aren't happening. But that's, I mean, I got to make it happen somehow. You know what I mean?
But the inactivity got to this level for a reason. And we all know the reasons. Some people might want to deny them, but we got this way for a reason.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously we are where we are. I could do a whole document on how we ended up in this place when it comes to boxing, but I do believe though that the universe is a self-correcting system, and eventually things will come around. But I just think boxing needs like a. You know, all the dudes that say, "Oh, it's a business," like they need the business to feel so hard that it hits their pockets, and then they need someone to not subsidize them anymore, and then realize that they got to give a good product to people for people to buy into it, and that's when boxing will learn. Boxing hasn't been doing 2 things for a long time. Number one, giving the consumer, the fan, what they want. Every smart business does that. I don't care what business it is, okay? You know, listen to your consumers, take their feedback, give them what they want, etc. Second, build return customers. How many times have we seen boxing give us a big fight, and then they don't even bother giving us a good undercard, knowing that there's too much of a risk. Like, you're making people pay $80 and you don't give them a good undercard to ensure that they have a good night of boxing, even if the main event flops. I mean, I just don't get it. But that's the sport we're in. Right now, Spence Crawford has been a product of that. We're seeing these promoters really not really working together to make fights happen because they believe that they can give something else to people and people will just buy into it. You know, and I think it's going to backfire at some point. You know, I don't like the Crawford Evan fight. I just don't. I just got to be honest, right? And I don't personally think Spence is going to fight Boots. I could be. Look, if Spence signs to fight
Boots
Boots,
already announced he has a fight date, so
It's
not,
going to be
that's not-
Thurman. It's going to be
It would be.
Thurman
It
and
would, I think
Spence.
it's going to be Thurman, but what I'm wondering is,
well,
will they
Boots
have
did
to
that,
drop a
then never
belt?
mind. Then I
Will
mean,
they have
don't
to
announce a
drop
fight
a
then.
belt? The fight I want to see is Stanionis, because Stanionis can apply some crazy amount of pressure.
You don't think they can offer Boots' opponent step aside money? I mean,
Yeah, they could. They could. You're
Sure
right.
they can, but they don't want
Yeah,
to.
like 20,000.
They don't want to.
They're going to D-style. They're going to drop. If it comes to that, they're going to drop a belt, and they're going to say, no, we weren't pitching you undisputed. Don't worry about that. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to fight Boots next. I doubt they're going to fight Stanionis next. I think the fight they want is Keith Thurman, and the fight they want is Keith Thurman at 154, I believe. But
you know what would be a big fight?
Regardless, but just to piggyback on what you were saying, just quick, D-style is also, I can tell you in 2022, owning businesses, you also need simplicity, and boxing is going in the opposite direction. You can't sell people things in 2022 based off of complexity. They don't want it. They need simplification. So boxing has gone the opposite direction of that. Everything else is going simple, simple, simple. Boxing's going complex, complex, complex. Look at us right now. We can't even agree on with people out there on whose fault this is that this is falling through, and the world just doesn't. They don't want to. They don't care about this. They don't want to be this deep in the weeds.
You know what though? Overall, the sport of boxing it's like a, and fans are not like me for saying this, but it's a failing business. That's what it is, right? It has a failing business model at the moment, and it could recover from it. It could get out of it, and I ultimately believe that's the main component of what's making all this fail, right? That's the main reason we're not getting the fights we want. That's the main reason, right? But I just want to make sure people understand this. Crawford was told, look, and I'm not here to say Crawford's innocent about everything. I'm not, right? So and I'm open to people say whatever, like I'm open to it, right? But Crawford was told, get a belt, right? So he got the belt. He beat up Jeff Horn. He got the WBO belt. Crawford confronted Spence. Spence told him, well, look, I'm going to clear my side of the street. And then once I'm done, and by the way, Crawford had no way to fight any of those guys because he was a top rank and he didn't have an option to fight any of the other champions at PBC or anything like that, right? So, and credit to Spence, he collected those belts, right? But he's the only one that had the option to do it. We would have already gotten into this fight and they both had the option to fight these guys, right? But whatever, I get it.
Well,
he left top rank.
The thing that keeps boxing alive over the years, and it is a bad business model, especially in the last 10 years or so, that like, you know, they can't seem to fucking figure out how to make money off the sport. But every once in a while you would get like one really big fight that would make a lot of money, that would, you know,
Right.
erase all the red ink, and they can go back to like promoting fights again. And this is one of those fights, and the fact that it's not happening is definitely horrible for the sport in general.
Now, Ashley asked in the chat, did Crawford offer anything? I don't know what Crawford offered, but I will say this. I think most people kind of understand that Crawford's the B-side. Like everybody kind of knows that, right? I don't personally like talking A-side, B-side, but we kind of know that, right? But here's what I know. De La Hoya sold nowhere near 1.4 million before he fought Trinidad. Trinidad sold nowhere near 1.4 million before he fought De La Hoya. Together,
The sum is greater than the parts.
yeah, exactly. Like together, like Beep says, they built this synergy, and the fight, the bill of the fight became bigger than the two fighters independently, and that's what got it to 1.4 million. The first fight that was a non-heavyweight fight that got it to that point. De La Hoya never saw anything close to south of 2 million, ever. The highest his ceiling was 1.4 against Trinidad, right? So 1.4, and then Mayweather did like 300,000 against Gotti. Let's pretend, which isn't the case, but let's pretend that those are two completely different fan bases. You add it together, his best 1.4, his best 300,000. It should have done no more than 1.7 million, assuming there's no, and there is like a mix of the fan bases there, right? But together they did 2.4 million, right? Synergy. Together they had a build that made it a bigger fight, right? And I do believe that Crawford Spence together would have done a better numbers than either one of them ever did, because that's the fight people want to see. Like, people know, to a certain degree, know about the guys, but they don't want to see them fight the guys they're fighting. And then Crawford, I mean, you can't complain that your fight against Cal Brook was only on ESPN Plus. Oh, it was only on an app, and then you go to an app. He's going to fight an app, bro.
These guys are entitled, man. And you know what? I want to touch on what you said earlier. I think anybody with a brain, like I said, pretty much everybody that's on this panel and majority of people watching your show, that I can't say for everyone on YouTube, but I will say this. Boxing needs a reset. And look, investors, guys talk about investors, right? And talk about money and all this other shit. Money don't grow on fucking trees, man. Investors are not going to invest their fucking time and money and effort in planning for a product that's not giving them what they want. Number one. Number two, have literally not even living in dinosaur age. It's like you're living in your own bubble at this point. Because the dinosaur age of boxing was doing great business. Guys talk about, like you said, guys talk about business and boxing. Boxing's been a shitty business the last 13 years. Like Haplo said, they've been bailed out by these big major fights. The two major fights that could have happened that would have bailed boxing the fuck out: Deontay Wilder, Joshua, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. Have those fights happened? No, they have not. And it's been a flat line and a disappointment.
That's exactly why boxing's hurting now.
Exactly. Right.
Look, anyone who studied boxing will understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. If Jack Johnson, okay, versus Tommy Burns got done, any fucking fight could get done. Okay? Oh, yeah. If that fight got done, you can make any fucking fight in boxing. I don't want to hear, it just can't happen. There's too many obstacles. There's too many politics. You know, like you want to talk politics? You want to talk roadblocks? You want to talk? If that fight got done, any fight could get done. Period.
And my instincts tell me that Tank and Ryan's going to get done. I think that. I think January, February, that fight gets done at 136. Because I do think those guys want to fight each other. And the reason I think those guys want to fight each other is they don't want to fight anybody else in and around the division.
I don't know, Calix. They've been talking today. There was something that came out on Tank saying that he's no longer with PBC and all that. They can't really make the fight.
Tank be all over the place.
they have no platform. So I don't know.
Right. So I think, but I do think that fight's going to get done, and I do think he's going to stay with Mayweather Promotions, Showtime. They'll somehow work something out with the networks, DAZN, Showtime. I just think it'll get done. But my main point here is this: like Bruce said earlier, I'd rather be talking about the fights. And the frustrating part is the promoters, managers, network execs, advisors have built this current system. They built this current model. And I don't feel sorry for them when they're saying they can't make a fight within the framework that they built. I didn't feel sorry for Bob when he was out there whining, oh my God, how am I going to make Haney versus Kambosos 2 and make money? I don't care. I don't care if you don't make money off of it, because guess what? You shouldn't have offered the rematch clause.
Yeah, well, why are you reading that
rematch clause? I don't care. You built that model. And then, by the way, you were making money hand over fist with top rank pay-per-views under Manny Pacquiao for years and years and years, and you weren't complaining. And now you're complaining about the pay-per-view model being broke because you and other promoters, advisors were raping and abusing the pay-per-view market, and you're doing it still currently, even though that market is dead. So what I'm saying is, I'm tired of them complaining about their framework. I'm tired of them getting in the way of fights that should be made. I said it about Trust Fund Eddie a couple months ago. Why are you trying to make Bivol versus Bawatsi when Bivol versus Zerto is right there? Why are you trying to get in the way of a better fight? I'm frustrated with these dudes. I'm aggravated. And I'm very frustrated with in particular, the PBC model, because it's leading to inactivity with their fighters, and they have talented fighters under that umbrella that are lined up on the runway waiting to fight, just waiting to fight. And they have to wait and wait and wait when, as boxing fans, we just want to see fights. We just want to see these dudes fight. The inactivity is the worst problem in boxing right now. It's inexcusable to have a whole welterweight division with nothing on the schedule at the same time. It's inexcusable to have the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters fighting 10 times combined in a year. It's inexcusable. It shouldn't be happening. It should not be happening. And they got us yelling at each other instead of, and that's the frustrating part, even more so for me, is when I do videos calling promoters out, etc. And I'm just a little dude over here. Why are they even worried about me anyway? But when I do it, they get in the way of me, and I'm the one buying the apps, buying the pay-per-views, etc. When they're the ones, a lot of them freeloading, skipping the check. I'm at the restaurant complaining about my food, and then the dudes sitting over there skipping the check are saying, "Why are you complaining about the food?" It's frustrating. It's frustrating. At least let me complain. At least give me that.
Like, Aaron be that dude that you hire him for something. It's like, oh, if you refer a friend, I'll give him half off. And you refer a friend, like, how am I going to make money if I got to give him half off? Well, motherfucker, why'd you offer me some shit and say I'll give half off to your friend if you refer him? Like, what? That's Bob Arum. He just complains about shit. But then again, Arum's like in his 90s, bro. That dude complains about everything. You know what I mean? Like,
and I think I'm at the point now where I think I'm more at where Bruce was at earlier in the show. I don't care anymore. Like, if a fight's on, like, I plan on turning up the Saturday night before Halloween anyway, but I'll be trying to watch the Zepeda, because that's a great fight. That is a great fight. Jojo Diaz versus Zepeda. I plan on trying to watch that before. I'll probably catch Lomachenko in the morning in the Stay Busy fight. But I think I'm transitioning into, I'm just going to show up for the fights, because look, dude, if you want to believe that Bud is to blame to this, go ahead and have at it. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not going to keep going back and forth with this anymore.
Some people say there's a woman to blame, but I know it's all Bud's fault. But look,
it definitely is his fault, right? To the morons.
Look, I could chew gum and walk at the same time. I can say that I believe anyway. It's my opinion. But did everything to make that Spence fight happen. But I can also say I'm not a big fan of this coming fight these guys got going on. I'm just not, right? But shout out to Blue Blood though. I mean, he's doing his thing. Shout out to him.
But I'll tell you what, if they make Tank and Ryan, guess who's there? This guy right here. I'm flying.
Yeah, because I think in Ryan's mind, it's I don't know how true this is or not, but I think he's thinking I'm going to make more money fighting Tank.
Both of them,
right? And I think it's a more winnable fight than the Haney fight. I think that's what he's thinking. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant.
But what's great about that fight, though, despite all the negatives we said about both fighters and the Tank and Ryan theorem, is it's the matchup part. It's two economical fighters who give up rounds against inferior opposition, but they can both send you to hell with one shot.
That's right. Yeah.
Imagine them against each other.
Imagine that.
As they duck Devin Haney.
No, Jesus.
I know.
Shout out to Shakur though, man. He's saying he's moving up and he wants Haney, he wants Loma, like just like that, right off the bat.
Yeah, and he's built like that. That's why. And Top Rank doesn't have to protect him because Shakur is such a special talent. That's the thing. Like, this is what happens when dudes, you don't have to protect dudes. You don't have to lie to people. It's organic. Everybody knows Shakur is the truth. Everybody knows Shakur moves up to 135, and he is the betting favorite against everybody, slightly. The top guys, the betting favorite. And the thing is, I don't understand this manufactured. I don't know if y'all have noticed this manufactured beef they're trying to create between Devin and Loma. Loma did not duck Haney a couple of years ago. That didn't happen. But also, recent track record proves that Haney, if Haney versus Loma is presented by Bob Arum, both fighters are going to take that. What makes us think that Haney is going to duck Loma in the spring?
I think what happened is pretty obvious. Like I think, look, here's what I'll say, and you guys can chime in at any time. But if you look at the Loma situation, he had 3 of the belts, and he wanted that IBF that Teofimo had, right? That was an in-house fight. That's a fight he wanted. And I think he saw that Canelo had done the franchise thing. So in his mind, oh, let me just request franchise. I could fight Teofimo. I could become undisputed champion. And I've accomplished what I want. That was his plan, right? At the time, if you got to look at the time, Teofimo had just knocked out Comey in the first round or second round, I believe. It was the second, right? I believe. But he knocked out Comey, and that was a hot fight. We know it was a hot fight. Look at the numbers it did. Over 4 million viewers on ESPN and ESPN Plus combined. That's the most that a boxing event has done since then. That's including Crawford. That's including a lot of guys. And by the way, boxing was on ESPN for like 3-4 hours, so you can't say it was because there was a game before that or something like that.
Well, that was the Heisman night, right?
No, but what I'm saying is, no, there was nothing on before that. Nothing. Boxing was on for 3 straight hours on ESPN. There was no college game that followed the fight or gave it a bump, nothing like that. If anything, the numbers went up on the boxing card when that fight started. That it was promoted properly. They did a special on ESPN for it. That fight proved to me that if you promote this fucking sport right, you can get viewers, you can get people intrigued. But my point is, I think he just wanted to get all the belts first. And then he would take care of whoever was around, whether it was Haney or anybody else. But he lost that fight, right? And then Teofimo had a mandatory from the IBF in Cambozas. And then we know how that went. I mean, Triller kept rescheduling that shit then they didn't want the fight. And so Haney was not being ducked by Loma or Teofimo. It was just a circumstantial thing. That's all it was, right? Now, granted, Cambozas voluntarily fought Haney. Good for him. He did the right thing, in my opinion. Got his ass beat twice, but now Haney's the undisputed champion. But I agree with the Cowboys. I don't think Loma or Haney ducked each other. Like, I just don't think that happened. Like, and it is a good fight now.
I don't get the vibe that either one of them fears each other. Loma didn't duck. Why would Loma age himself out? That's what they're accusing him of doing. He didn't duck Haney, and Haney is not what. How are you going to claim Haney's ducking Loma for a spring fight when Loma's fighting this weekend? And are you reading the future? Like, what makes people think that Haney is going to duck Loma? Because I don't see it. What kind of
fight's going to happen?
That he's going to duck Lomachenko? I don't get it. I don't see it. I think the fight's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen too. Yeah,
it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight.
I agree. There's a lot on the line. It's all the belts are on the line. Why wouldn't Loma want that?
And why wouldn't Haney want it? Because Haney's on a nice 4-fight run. Like, I understand Linares was older. I get it. I understand Linares buzzed him, but Linares, Jojo Diaz, and now 2 fights with Kambosos, and people are going to say in hindsight Kambosos isn't that good, but that's not what they were saying before the fight.
Yeah.
And Haney made Kambosos look not so good. So I don't know. I just don't read that Haney's going to duck anybody. I mean, I think he's going to have issues when he moves up to 140, and we discussed that. I think his ceiling is lower than these other young American talents. I think the lack of power is going to hurt him when he moves up and fights these killers at 140, but that's not right now. Right now he's at 135, and I think he translates well against other guys at 135.
And what's going to remind Bruce Goss? What are you thinking about?
Everything said in here has been true. Going back to the welterweight division, bro. You mentioned fucking Tito and De La Hoya, and it's such a rich division, and the original fight we were talking about was Spence and Crawford, and I go back to the ultimate welterweight fight, man. One of my favorite fights. I was right there with Leonard and Hearns, bro, and that was a fight that we knew that fight was going to happen years before it happened, and even the the fight that Leonard and Hearns had before that, Sugar Ray Leonard took on a cat named Ahab Kayuli. He was undefeated WBA junior middleweight champion. And nobody was nervous, bro. Nobody except the fans, because this made boxing. This might blow the whole fucking fight in Las Vegas. They don't know what happened a couple of months later. And Hearns was on that card too. But they had the outdoor arena. They had, and then this was the largest payday in the lightweight division in history of boxing before that time, man. This was huge. But it happened, bro. And that's where I came from. I saw the shit happen, and now I'm seeing what's not happening. But it's not bothering me because I'm looking at boxing as a whole. It's not happening anywhere. And like the welterweight division, one of the most beautiful divisions in boxing. The fighters who looked like they were just taken out of a fucking mold and put into the ring. They're disgracing it, bro. It's disgracing boxing, and I can't get down into the mud. I'm taking it week by week. And I see boxing going. I see it deteriorating before my very eyes. And I don't think there's anybody outside of YouTube that cares about boxing anymore, man. Really, I go out there and I talk boxing, and they look at me like I'm nuts until I start mentioning Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Then yeah, are those guys still fighting? I say no, man. That was 25 years ago. But it's I don't know how we're going to cultivate boxing and get it back again. I know it's not going to happen with these fucking gross mismatches, exorbitant prices that scare the would be fans away. And like the historian said a little bit ago, and it needs a complete breakdown. Start from square one. Reorganize it. Get a commission going. Just make it respectful. Make it something where fans are saying, "Hey, look at this. Something's happening over here. I want to be part of it." As it is right now, man, nobody knows anything about boxing except us, and it seems the more we talk, the less we even know.
Absolutely. Haplo, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? Earth to Haplo.
Sorry, I was just listening. I'm here. No final thoughts really. I think you guys covered it all. This is a pleasure being on. Thanks for having me on here, and always good chopping it up with you guys.
Sounds good. Calix, yeah, go ahead.
One more thing before I dip, I want to say this weekend I've been fortunate enough to be invited to something called Legends Weekend. It's outside Philadelphia, and bro, it's a Hall of Fame lineup, man. Tyson's gonna be there, Mitch Green, Ray Mercer, Witherspoon, fucking Michael Olajide, Michael Nunn. I'm so looking forward to it. And I was asked to go down there to conduct some interviews. So, man, if you haven't subbed to my channel yet, man, sub to it and keep your eye on that notification button, because we're going to be live from the fucking Legends this weekend, man. I'm going to be smoking some fucking blunts with Mike Tyson. So,
shit.
Thanks for having me on here, guys, man. A pleasure. And peace, man. Peace.
Looking forward to that one. Calix, any final thoughts for wrap this one up?
Bruce is classic, and Bruce is the type of boxing fan that I love because he's strictly boxing, right? And he's strictly just about the fights. And I love that. And I would love to see us get back to that. And it's never going to happen, unfortunately. But no, what I would say is the fight this weekend is a great fight. And these are the fights that I stick around for. Zepeda and Jojo Diaz is going to be a war. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot on these channels the upcoming week. But just as far as boxing and where we're at, I don't know what else to say, man, except it's frustrating when we're talking about the business much more than we're talking about the actual fights. I love that little run we had from like April to early July, where we had every weekend we had fights after fights after fights after fights, and there were great even matchup fights, and there were meaningful fights, and we just got away from that. And when we get away from that, I notice things just get seriously volatile in these communities, right? The YTBC, the boxing community, it just gets extremely volatile because we have nothing to really talk about. We have nothing to talk about. I mean, we're talking about contracts. I feel like Iverson right now. Like, we're talking about contracts. Contracts?
Talking about contracts.
Talking about contracts. And we're not talking
Not
about
the fights. Not the fights.
Not the fights. Not the fights. We're talking about contracts. And I prefer to talk about the fighters that actually fight. And I've been saying for years, I gravitate towards the fighters who give me good fights consistently, give me entertaining fights consistently, give me the best fighting the best consistently. And that's been the frustrating part about some of these fighters is I just want to be fans. I just can't. I can't, because look at the case of Tank Davis. How many times have we said we want to be Tank Davis fans? All he's got to do is fight the top fighters. He gives us knockouts. He's entertaining.
It's exciting, yeah.
He can draw. He's exciting. Just give us the top fights. That's all we're waiting for. That's it. And people try to make it about other things, external factors, and it's not. All we're saying is we just want to see him fight the best fighters. That's it. That's it. It's just frustrating, man. I don't know what else to say. It's been a frustrating week and a half in boxing. And I don't know what else to say. It's frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, where's your headspace at right now with all this? I mean, for me, I think we've taken an off ramp, and I don't know if there's an on ramp back.
No, man. Boxing, it will never die. Let me just say that right now. But it goes through valleys and highs and lows, and we see it throughout the year sometimes. But we'll have a month where everything's great, and then boom, everything dies out. We have a pay-per-view where the promoters decide, we've been ripping you off for years. We're going to give you a stacked undercard. And then next pay-per-view, they stop doing it, right? Unfortunately, boxing isn't run like a proper business. As much as we hear business and it's a business, it's a hustle. That's the way it's being run right now. Who can we hustle out of their money right now? And who can we fucking hustle? That's what boxing is. That's where it's at. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it personally.
Yeah.
But hey, Calix, I appreciate you coming on, brother. You're gonna go live tomorrow? What's it?
Oh yeah, I'll be live tomorrow. If you want to swing through, I'll let you know the time. Tomorrow
Right.
on Wednesday, I'll definitely be live on the channel, and look for some short form content on my channel this week, breaking down fighters like Zepeda and Jojo Diaz and the guys who actually like to fight.
Sounds good. All right, guys, that's Calix Boxing. Make sure you guys tune in Thursday for the roundtable here on this channel. That'll be Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. So make sure you tune in. All you listening right now, make sure you tune in. Should be a good show. We're going to have In the Ring with Christine, the Women Crushing the Wednesday Girls. We have a pretty good, panel for that day. So make sure you check it on. Coach Collinsworth's going to be on that on that show as well as a Low Hanshaw from Behind the Gloves, correspondent for them. So make sure you guys check that out. Let me just say this in all seriousness, and I want to say this as much. I cannot say this enough. I tweeted this out, and I want to say this right now. I don't hate any boxers. I have respect for all boxers that step in that ring. I may hate their moves. I may hate a certain fight. I may hate what the fuck they be doing, but I don't hate anybody. I know hate's a word that's used today. Oh, you hating, and oh, you're just a hater. And apparently anybody who doesn't suck dick and doesn't worship these fighters and just proclaim nothing but loyal fealty to them is a hater. Well, if that's your definition of a hater, then I don't even know what the fuck to tell you. I am a boxing fan first. I want to see these fucking fights. That's what I want to see. I want to see these young lions get their shot. I want to see these best fighters fight the best fighters. That's what I want to see. I don't just preach it. Okay, I'm about it. That's what I am, right? I am looking forward to a lot of fights, even fights where guys are saying things like, oh, this dude has no shot. That girl has no shot. This, whatever the fuck you want to say, I'm excited for fighters that put themselves out there, want to go ahead and fight the best possible fights. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to fucking talk boxing. Okay? I'm not here to talk about, the alphabet organizations like that. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk boxing is what I'm here to do. I'm here to push for the best possible fights. That's what I'm an advocate for at the end of the day. All right? I want to see Virgil Ortiz get his title shot. I don't want to be the guy that says, oh, he has no shot. Why should he fight Crawford? He has no shot to win. Well, whatever. We don't know, do we? Until they step in the fucking ring and they actually fight. We don't know if Boots could beat Spence or not. We could think we know, but we don't know until they step in the ring and fight. We don't know the outcomes of these fights until they fight. That's how boxing works. That's the everlasting experiment that is boxing. That's what boxing is. It's an everlasting experiment. I want to see these best fight the best fighters every single time. That's what I'm an advocate for. I'm not even saying I'm right about everything. All I am is a man with an opinion, but I will give you my opinion. And my opinion always is geared towards, I want to see fighters get their shot because I'm a believer in justice. I'm a believer in fairness. And what better way to advocate for that than to call for these fighters to get in the ring and fight in a fair fight, in a boxing match. Mark is a Queensberry rules. Get in there and fight each other. And that result will speak for itself. Not what people think, not what people, think they know, or we don't know till we fucking know. This year, we saw these women fighters put it on the line. We saw Marshall get in there with Shields and vice versa. We saw Katie Taylor get in the ring with Serrano and vice versa. We saw, Baumgartner get in there with Mayer, right? And they put it on the line. After years when women's boxing wasn't getting it done, when Anna Wolf didn't fight Leila Ali and vice versa, whatever. Whoever you want to blame, till this day, people want to debate that fight, who would have won, who wouldn't have won. I would have rather just seen the fight and we don't have to debate about it. And then you have not just the women fighters, and shout out to them, the lower classes fighting each other. Inoue's about to fight for Undisputed. Oh, but we know Inoue could beat that guy. Okay, but he needs to get in the ring and do it. And that's what he's doing. We're going to get Chocolatito Estrada for a third fucking time. 115, they're duking it out. Those dudes been doing rematches against each other and trilogies and having fight of the year candidates, putting all on the line, their blood, their sweat, and their tears. That's what they've been doing. So obviously we speak out of frustration when I say things like, oh, boxing just gasses up the fans and nothing fucking happens. I'm speaking about certain fights, but not the whole sport of boxing. It may impact the whole sport of boxing. Perception is everything, ladies and gentlemen. If your random individual has a perception that the sport of boxing doesn't give the fans what they want, boxing isn't that sport that puts the best against the best. If that's the perception, that's how people are going to feel. And they will judge it by the fights that stand out, the fights under the lights, the fights that people know. That's the way it is. Crawford Spence isn't happening, fair or unfair. It's going to be a bunch of casuals that want to maybe give boxing a chance that we're going to step aside and say, Nah, that's why I stopped watching this fucking sport, because they don't give me the fights I fucking want. I could sit here and talk to him blue in the face and say, oh, come on, bro. We're about to get Chocolatito versus fucking Gallo Estrada. There are fighters that we're about to get. Jermel Charlo collected all the belts. He fought the best at 154. He's about to fight a young, hungry lion in Tim Tszyu. There are guys putting on the line. There are guys giving the young lions their shots. But I could say it to him blue in the face. It doesn't matter. Because boxing has a bad reputation, and perception is everything. So that's the frustration. And I do talk about the fights that are happening, but, you know, and speaking of that, fights that do happen, Mauricio Lara, Josh Warrington, 2023. I think Warrington's going to win his next fight, assuming he does. Let's do Lara versus Warrington, Father's Day 2023. That's what I want to see. Now, Warrington's ass, she'll go to Mexico to fight Lara, but look, Lara will go to, there's no doubt in my mind, that motherfucker will go to Leeds to fight this dude. He'll fight him anywhere. All right? This dude will fight this guy anywhere. Okay? Lara will fight Warrington on the back of Ashley Knuckles' truck. Like he'll fight him anywhere, right? He will fight him over there in LA. He'll fight him in San Francisco. He'll fight him in New York. He'll fight him in Birmingham, Alabama. He'll fight him in Omaha. He'll fight him in Monterrey, Mazatlán. Okay, he'll fight him in Mexico City. Right, this dude will go back to Tenochtitlan and fight him, and he'll go back in time to fight him. Right, he'll fight him in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Okay, he'll fight him in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Okay, he'll fight him in Australia. He'll fight this dude in Antarctica with fucking like that dude will fight him with polar bears and penguins as the audience. That's what he'll fucking do. Boxing. MMA, kickboxing, right? Muay Thai, you name it, knife fight, snap a pull stick in half. Okay, let the best man come out. Lara comes out every time. Chess boxing, you name it, you will beat Warrington anywhere, anytime. I want to see that fight Father's Day 2023. Because Warrington's going to lose to his papa, okay? Said he wants to retire him. He's going to take his son out of boxing, all right? Because Lara es el papa de Warrington. He is his dad, all right? Simple as that. Because he came out of school one day with a shiner in his eye. Fighting was against the rules, and it didn't matter why. You know? Once I told Daddy that story just like I rehearsed. I stood there with those trembling knees and waited for the worst. And Lara said, let me tell you a secret about a father's love. All right, but anyway, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, next year, that's Father's Day 2023, Lara Warrington, let's do it. All right? This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out of here. Peace.